The workouts haven't started yet, the NFL Combine, but the chatter certainly has. We'll get to all that. Some Browns perspective on the Combine, some Browns free agent, maybe thoughts. Your latest Locked On Browns starts now.
You are Locked On Browns, your daily Cleveland Browns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound LGB on the LOB, the Locked On Browns podcast, brought to the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, Jeff Lloyd, and I appreciate you all who make Locked On Browns your first listen every single day. The everyday crowd, you guys are amazing. Be like the everyday crowd. Subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. Show is always available. It's always free wherever you get your podcasts. Workouts have yet to begin. In Indianapolis at the 2024 NFL Scouting Combine. But the chatter is already kind of picked up. You know, some of the big names dropping out of the workouts. Quarterback Caleb Williams, quarterback Jaden Daniels. A lot of talk, obviously, about the quarterback class here this year. You know, rumored to be maybe some teams, some as many as 6 quarterbacks to go in round 1. This is the time of year where everybody thinks everybody's such a consensus guy, and then you try to get the contrarians. For those who don't think that maybe Caleb Williams is the best quarterback in this draft, when the USC defense gave up less than 34 points to their opponent, Caleb Williams was 12-0. That's a pretty incredible stat. It really is. The thing with Caleb Williams, what's really impressive about him is we're going to start to see players come into the league now at the quarterback position who kind of grew up modeling themselves after Patrick Mahomes. And I'm not making a comparison. I'm not saying Caleb Williams is going to be Patrick Mahomes, because right now Patrick is the Rushmore of the position in the NFL. But you're starting to see guys use these crazy improvisational skills, throwing the balls from all arm angles. There's even a ball where Caleb Williams threw, almost looked like the old Kareem Abdul-Jabbar hook shot, for God's sakes. Starting to see so much more athleticism just continue to come into the game. And I'm not just talking about running the ball, because obviously all these quarterbacks are really good athletes nowadays. But, using their athleticism in other ways, the no-look passes, just the arm angles, the different variations of arm angles throwing the ball on the run. Crazy to see. Caleb Williams, it makes for a tough decision, obviously, for the Bears. But the haul you could get and keep Justin Fields probably just isn't worth taking the gamble with Caleb Williams. I still think Justin Fields is going to have a very, very bright future in the NFL. So I think it's one of those things where the Bears are going to move on from Justin Fields, draft Caleb Williams, and hopefully for all parties involved, it is going to work out, because there's going to be some team that is not going to be getting a quarterback that they feel is worthy of that first round pick, but you could get a Justin Fields, and that certainly puts you in a nice situation. Jaden Daniels from LSU, very, very interesting. Obviously, getting a lot of, I would say overall style comparisons to Lamar Jackson as far as what he can do with his legs, obviously what he can do with his arms, throwing the ball. Question for Jaden Daniels, and this is something I saw firsthand against Florida State and a couple times this year. You just got to not be as reckless with his body. You can't. And some of these hits he took in college, he took these hits in the NFL. They could be season enders. So he's just got to be smarter with that. Obviously, he played with a bunch of great talent down in Baton Rouge. Obviously, we'll get to the wide receiver here in a second, obviously, because that name has popped up here. But Jaden Daniels definitely special. But both guys neither going to work out this week, and they'll come in, they'll get their meetings. I never have a problem with this. Look, it is your decision. You pay a lot of money for people to represent you, to put you through this process, to take you through this process, with the only thought process being to look out for you in what is in your best interests. My only problem is with guys who don't work out at the combine. What if you don't have a great pro day? You don't get a second chance. That's the only problem I'll ever have with it. That's why, hey, you want to go work and you blow up the combine and you do everything you got to do and you excel in everything. You go to your pro day, you throw on your slides, you walk around, you shake your hands, you take some meetings. I just I get nervous for guys who don't give themselves a second chance to maybe improve upon some things. Something to think about. Obviously, now the talk, Marvin Harrison Jr., and this was originally, and Albert Breer made a little bit of a mistake here. The tweet made it sound like Marvin Harrison Jr. was just telling the combine, not interested in any way whatsoever. He's coming. He's going to do his meetings. He'll get all his testing. He's just not going to work out. Marvin Harrison knows he is a top 3, top 4 selection in this draft. Everybody's enamored with Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't see anything he could do at the combine that would change anybody's opinion one way or another about what he is or what they think he's going to do in the NFL. I pray to God he doesn't go to the New England Patriots at 3 because I have no idea what their answer is at the quarterback position. But Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be a star in this league. He's a special talent. You see it in the vertical routes. You see it in the underneath routes. I mean, obviously shovels, a couple of reverses here and then that Ohio State used him on. Very, very smart, headsy football player. Obviously, comes from great bloodlines. So Marvin Harrison Jr., and again, no agent. Does he need an agent? Probably not. I mean, I'm sure his father's, well enough off that they can have people that are going to look after the best interests of Marvin Harrison Jr. So obviously then all of a sudden it shifted to, all right, well, Malik Neighbors. And, Malik Neighbors is a really, really fast guy, really excels from the slot. Didn't get as much work on the outside. And, I don't think that truly matters, and I think it's probably maybe easier to win on the outside than it is, from the slot position. So I think it translates well. He's not going to run as well in Indianapolis. He'll save his workouts for the combine. I'm sorry, for the pro day down in Baton Rouge. Neighbors, Harrison, really, really good wide receivers. Roma Dunzier, who, has put in the same breath with these guys. All these guys should go in the top 10. Roma Dunzier has said that he plans on working out. Went to Bishop Gorman High School in Nevada. If that sounds familiar to any of you Browns fans, that is where Dorian Thompson-Robinson went. That is, of course, where Cedric Tillman went. Obviously, he was a little behind those guys. Ran track there. Roma Dunzier had a really, really monster career, with the Washington Huskies, capped it off this year with a fantastic year, and obviously played some time with a punctured lung this season for the Huskies. So he's going to kind of get to draw the attention, but there'll be a lot of wide receivers who are going to get the opportunity to step up with some of the bigger names not participating. So certainly something to watch for there. But, big names drop out of this. They do it every year. Again, I don't have a problem with them dropping out. I just, look at it as if, you have a bad day at your pro day, what's your plan B from there? You have a great day at the combine, you can shut it down and say, I'll see you all at the draft. Can't necessarily do that if you don't have the best day at your pro day. Something to think about. It's always kind of the way I felt about it. But hey, they're the ones making the $1 million decisions. They're the ones that get to choose what decisions they make in regards to trying to make those $1 million decisions. I am Jeff Lloyd. We're going to continue on here. It's obviously going to be a lot of talent for the Cleveland Browns to get their eyes on here this week. We're going to break that down, continue on here. Your latest Locked On Browns rolls on. Appreciate everybody for sticking around. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. What is the first thing you would do if you had an extra hour in your day? Take a nap, knock one more chore off the chore list, just relax, read a book, meditate. A lot of us spend our lives wishing we had more time. The question is, time for what? If time was unlimited, how would you use it? The best way to squeeze the special thing into your schedule is to know what's important to you and make it a priority. Therapy can help you find what matters to you so you can do more of it. Look, I got a lot to balance here. My mom, obviously, my wife, my kids. And, sometimes it's not always the easiest thing when you're juggling so many things. And sometimes you just kind of need to focus on yourself. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's diagnosed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. You can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Learn to make time for what makes you happy with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LOCKEDON today to get 10% off your first month. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/locked-on. We continue on here, your latest Locked On Browns. Your host, Jeff Lloyd. Of course, I appreciate All of you who make Locked On Browns here first listen every single day. If you are not part of the Everyday Crowd by now, we'll make a new plan. Subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. And of course, the show is always available. It's always free wherever you get your podcasts. Now, with the Browns here, and look, we know that the Browns don't look at the things the way we all necessarily do. They are not going to look at it and say, oh, well, this guy's put it up. You go in and you look at talent. And even though, they may be deep at this position, or are they interested in this position? You draft good players. You're not necessarily looking to fill holes. Yes, you have to fill holes, but if the player is good, you draft the player and you let it all work out from there. So with that being said, do I think, the Browns are going there looking for a quarterback? I don't think they're going there looking for a quarterback. I think they're very, very high on Dorian Thompson-Robinson. They would like to see more of DTR, and they understand it kind of got to be a little bit of a rough break. Probably never wanted to play him last year and ended up having to play him a lot more than they probably wanted to. The question is, do you go get like that Chase Daniel, that veteran quarterback who would be the number 3 guy, basically with a guy to be a sounding board for Deshaun Watson? Then, God forbid, something happened to Deshaun, the guy that could be, basically the coach him up quarterback coach, so to speak. If DTR were to be the guy, it's just not a position I think the Browns are going to be active in, looking at here at the combine. Running back position, if you guys didn't see it, throughout a bonus episode earlier, I think the Browns are going to be all over the running back position here at the combine. Because with these running backs that are going to be available, and there's going to be a bunch of them, where is the Browns' financial wish going to be to bring in a veteran running back? Some of these veteran running backs, with the uncertainty of Nick Chubb, you could be taking on a role here with the Browns that you think you're signing a deal here in the beginning in March, early in free agency, and you think maybe there's a big piece of your pie coming your way. Who knows? By the time September rolls around, Nick Chubb could be a heck of a lot healthier, and maybe that role you thought you were getting maybe is not going to be there for you. So it's really difficult for a running back to commit to this team in March, not necessarily knowing what Nick Chubb's situation health-wise is going to be in September. So certainly something to watch for there. That's why the draft running back class certainly has appeal for the Browns. You need to look at these guys. They fit in age. They all have different varieties of skill sets, all that can find a way to contribute for the Cleveland Browns. They're going to be very, very active when the running backs work out at the 2024 combine. Now, the wide receiver position. Look, I think the Browns are going to be active in free agency. I think the Browns are going to be active at the NFL Combine, and as far as active about finding to draft another rookie wide receiver. Look, David Bell, Elijah Moore, Cedric Tillman, these guys are all in a tough spot here. The Browns are hoping every one of them takes a step up in 2024, but they're not just going to make it easy on them. There's not going to be no safety net. There is going to be legit competition brought in here. And these guys are either going to have to get better, or they're going to be other guys that the Browns are going to give opportunities to maybe take their spots. I love this wide receiver class. There's going to be a bonus episode coming here. I'm trying to bump those out here as well. Look, it's Combine week. We're going to try to get you guys a ton of Combine coverage, a bunch of content this week. I know everybody, it's starting to get a little bit excited. The whistle's starting to get wet here again, for football. It ain't baseball season yet. Anybody trying to tell you that, stop. It's not even opening day yet, for God's sakes, okay? I love baseball season, but I'm telling you it's not baseball season. So we're going to flood you here with a bunch of content here. And obviously we're going to give you shows, after each and every day of workouts, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, of course, keep you guys stocked, locked, and loaded here. Tight end position. I don't think, the room as it was last year is going to stay intact. I think the Browns are going to certainly look into bringing a blocking tight end. That is something I think they're going to focus on. It's not that David can't do it, but I think David's receiving prowess has gotten so good that the Browns basically need to go find, a third tackle. And we've seen a third, tackle pseudo tight end. We've seen the Browns do this the last couple of seasons. They didn't do it so much last year because they were down so many offensive tackles, but the Browns want to find and bring in a legitimate blocking tight end. Hopefully just makes things easier for the running game, allows you to give some rest for David Njoku. If you're going to run the ball, take 85 off the field, get him the rest he deserves. Harrison Bryant, contract's up. We'll see. Always been a nice player, always been a nice role player. Not sure if it's going to work. It could work, couldn't. Really got no thought process there anyway. We talked about the offensive tackle class last night with Pete Smith. Brown's certainly going to be in. I think they're very much going to be in the offensive tackle class. A move has to be made here. because there is no way I think the Browns are going to open up, OTAs, the regular season, any of this stuff without a home for DeJuan Jones. I think DeJuan Jones blew everybody away last year with his play. I think the Browns are infatuated with what this young man did. They put a lot on his plate about trying to keep his weight down, keep his work ethic high. DeJuan Jones did everything he was asked to do and then some, and excelled. The Browns it's just not going to happen. The Browns know DeJuan Jones is one of the starting offensive tackles in 2024. Obviously, we probably know what the other shoe is that's going to drop in that scenario. It's okay. Sometimes you got to make moves. And in this case, it's a good move for the Browns because they've gotten so good at the position, they're most likely going to have to move on from someone where they've already picked up the fifth-year option. Now, defensively, defensive lineman, it gets tricky because, without a first-round pick and drafting slam dunk, walk-in, day one, plug-and-play guys, it's hard for, a lot of rookie defensive linemen to just jump in and succeed, in the NFL. Look, it's a whole different ball game. We've always used this phrase when you're going against offensive linemen who are basically feeding their wife and families by getting this done, that they're going against full grown men. And, it was kind of easy for you because you were really good in college and there's a lot of transition. And you know what? I really thought my handwork was really good in college. And then you've got one little minor flaw and these guys just expose you really, really hard. And look, you saw last year the two defensive linemen the Browns drafted, Elijah McGuire, obviously Siaki Ika. Not really much success from Ika at all. McGuire, 1 sack. It's really, really hard to believe, to go that route. So I think the Browns are definitely going to bring back, if not two of the veterans they had here last year at the defensive tackle position. I don't know if it's going to be Zadarius Smith, but I think the Browns are going to be looking at another veteran defensive end to bring in. Linebacker, we talked about it again yesterday. This is something I think they're going to be in on. Look, I'd love to have Sione Takitaki back. I've been a fan since day one. I think he wears this franchise, a heart on his heart, and he just carries himself like he loves this team, loves this franchise. He's gotten better and better over the years. Question is going to be, does somebody else value Sione Takitaki at a little bit more money than maybe the Browns do? This cornerback class, and this is something I talked to a couple people today already in Indy, loaded. Loaded is the description for the cornerback class. So do you tool around? Do you think about possibly dangling Greg Newsome out there? And it's not a knock on Genu. I like Genu, but the Browns have a decision to make May 2nd. Are they going to give Greg Newsome that fifth-year option, which puts him at almost $13 million? Do they let Greg Newsome maybe, go get himself in a better opportunity with a good cornerback class available here? Just something to think about. I like Genu, made one of the most important plays in the entire 2023 season with his picks against the Baltimore Ravens. But you do wonder if it's something the Browns would consider. Safety group, I think the Browns are pretty tight there, but the Browns love their defensive backs. That's what happens when your head coach is a former defensive back. That's what happens when your general manager is a former defensive back. Always a position to watch. We're going to continue on here. Your latest Locked On Browns, talk about maybe some positional targets the Browns are going to be heavily interested in free agency. I'm Jeff Lloyd. I appreciate everybody for sticking around. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because right now new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and more. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Closing out your latest Locked On Browns. As always, you guys are the best. Come out here, make Locked On Browns your first listen every day. You guys mean the world to me for that. The everyday crowd needs more. Make sure you subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. If your friend isn't subscribed, subscribe for him. He'll thank you later. Show is always available. It's always free wherever you get your podcasts. Now, as I was saying earlier, you have to look at this and what's going to be available. It is a pretty good free agent running back class, and I will talk about this till I'm blue in the face. It is something the Browns have to be all in on. Right now, it is late February. Free agency starts in early March. the Browns are going to have no idea where Nick Chubb is going to be and how much Nick is going to be able to contribute early on in the season. I think Nick will be a contributor in 2024. I don't think it'll be September. It might not even be October, but the Browns will get something from Nick in 2024. So they're going to go the veteran route. Are you going to bring in a Zach Moss? Are you going to look at a Clyde Edwards-Helaire? And I have some people poo-pooing on me bringing up the name Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Well, through 4 years in the NFL, 4.2 yards per carry. Through 4 years in the NFL, more yards per reception than Jerome Ford, who had a really decent season last year for this team receiving. So don't poo-poo some of these names. At least, God, if you're going to call me out, at least go check the research and see why maybe I brought up the name. Because I'll tell you right now, I did do the research. I'm just not pulling names out of my hat. All right? Thanks. Of course, look, wide receiver. And there's some names out there. And, I don't know the free agent that fits. I think Gabe Davis kind of fits. I think the rumored numbers for Gabe Davis are insane. I mean, I'm not even sure I would go 10 mil on Gabe Davis. And they're talking 13 mil? 13 mil? Eek. I mean, that is a rough number. You want to tell me Gabe Davis, 4 years, 32 million, 20 guaranteed. Sounds about right, maybe. I can't see Gabe Davis as a guy that is, rumored for 40 million guaranteed. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Too many inconsistencies in his game, but I like the size. I like the vertical ability. And I think that is one thing the Browns truly know that they have to do. And that's why a lot of people bring up these Smurf receivers, the Hollywood Browns. A lot of guys in this draft are kind of small. I just don't think the Browns are going that route anymore, man. I just don't. Last two wide receivers, some of the last previous wide receiver selections, obviously David Bell, Michael Woods, and of course Cedric Tillman last year. They ain't going after Smurf wide receivers anymore. So I think they are done with the Smurf gadget wide receiver type-ish. I think those days are over. So now you kind of take it to the defensive side of the ball here. And, the Zadarius Smith move last year, in my opinion, was a great move. It really, really was. Didn't pay the dividends I think the Browns were actually hoping it was going to. And look, not every move works. Everything that went into the move, what you gave up for it, how you structured the contract, how you paid Zadarius, win. Zadarius, I think that everybody was hoping for a little bit more production, unfortunately, that you just did not get. Obviously, you hit on Ogbo. Obviously, you hit on Dalvin Tomlinson. Obviously, you hit on Maurice Hurst. You hit on Shelby Harris. So, again, you need to continue to work. And, look, if you can get Mo Hurst to come back and you can get Shelby Harris to come back, that's fantastic. I think Mo Hurst is probably more likely than Shelby Harris. This is the most success Maurice Hurst has had in his time in the NFL. Distinguished college career, really weird NFL draft cycle, been injured most of his NFL career, but there's a chance for Mo Hurst. And now it's just coming back and, getting over the injury. He'll have his role. His role's defined. And obviously, I know Jim Schwartz is obviously a fan. The amount of, playing time Maurice Hurst got and the amount of things he did for this team, the Browns are excited for the opportunity to hopefully bring Maurice Hurst back into the fold here. Linebacker, again, the problem with the linebacker position, and it's actually not a problem. The Browns have never committed legitimate money to the linebacker room during the Andrew Berry, Kevin Stefanski regime. And the Browns, for 4 seasons, have gambled on that position and won every time. They've always gotten more out of the linebacker position than they financially put into it. Now, look, this will be the last year where we could probably maybe say that because you're going to give an extra, obviously, contract extension to JOK, which means it could be the last year of Taki here. It could mean the last year you do the Anthony Walker dance, or you're already done. And you're trying to get younger, fresher, more athletic, faster linebackers in the fold. Keep in mind, Jim Schwartz wants to play base defense on 1st and 10 and then get to nickel and dime anyway. So are you looking for another young, athletic linebacker like JOK who just reads, diagnoses, and explodes? Certainly something to consider there. Now, free agency, I don't think the Browns are going to be invested in any safety. I don't think they'll be invested in any corner. You have Cameron Mitchell, who you drafted last year, who could come in and be your nickel guy, obviously, here in year 2. Obviously has a ton of special teams. Had the the Labor Day weekend waiver pickup, Halassi last year, barely got to play. The Browns probably would like to see him get some reps. So there's a lot of work to do here, but you kind of get an idea where the free agent targets are going to be. Wide receiver, if there's one that fits their needs, maybe a running back, certainly retaining some of their own defensive line free agents. But after that, I don't think it's going to be a ton of money spent in free agency. Not that they don't have it. It's just that, you don't spend a ton of money when you're not bringing in starters. Pretty simple. It's pretty simple. Browns don't really have many open starting positions, so therefore you're not going to spend a ton of money in free agency because reserves and backups shouldn't cost you a lot of money. Plain, simple, right? Appreciate you guys for all your support so far this week. Obviously, we got the running back spotlight up. We talked, obviously, some combine prep with Pete Smith. We're going to get a wide receiver bonus episode up for you. Man, this is going to be a big week. Like I told you, a lot of content coming your way. Appreciate you all, for sticking around here. Appreciate you all who make the show your first listen every single day. The everyday crowd, keep them coming. Get me more. Subscribe to the Locked On Browns YouTube channel. The show is always available, always free, wherever you get your podcasts. This has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound. LGB on ELOB. Let's go Browns.